Well, it's good, guys. Now, right into a video titled "Guns Drawn at David's Home After Teen Body Found in Trunk." Now, if you guys are close on this video, you've probably seen the story. There's a lot of information going out there. I've watched like a couple stuff on it, but I probably don't know everything. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and let's get into it.
It ain't on their phone.
And that's not it.
It ain't on their phone.
And that's not it. This is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
Were David's parents victims of a swatting incident as police investigate the discovery of a dead body in a car registered to the singer's name? Is he being targeted? Is he being framed? We have the body cam that we're gonna get into. Plus, this young dead girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, her apparent ex-boyfriend is speaking out. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Such a strange update in the David story. We have been covering every aspect of this investigation of the body of teenager Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found dead in a car that was registered to singer David out in Hollywood. This happened at the beginning of last month. There have been no arrests. There have been no identified persons of interest, no suspects, no confirmed relationship or connection between David and Celeste, who, by the way, when her body was found, it was one day after she had turned 15 years old. But now we have something new. Now we have this new video, and it is so weird. Not even sure if it's connected or ties into this case per se, maybe, but we're going to discuss it. So TMZ obtained police body cam footage, and this is from days after Celeste's body was found in that 2023 Tesla. And police show up to David's Hempstead, Texas family home. So we're talking September 18th, after Celeste was ID'd. And the Texas officers, they respond to this home, guns drawn, and they respond to a report of gunfire.
I'll go out wide and keep you covered. You want to tap the door? Just wait for me, because I'm going to keep you covered. Go ahead. I got you covered. Come right here. There's too many windows. Here, knock on the door. Dude, we got a phone call from here saying that somebody was dead. What? Is there somebody else that lives on this property that has your address? What's your address? That's it.
That's it. That's what actually got.
We got an address. There was a gunshot and a woman screamed.
What?
I'm serious. That's why we came up here like this, because and then they talked to the caller. Whoever they were talking to said that there's a person dead.
No, sir. No, sir.
So officers have guns drawn. They're ready, thinking someone might be dead. And there is just seemingly a lot of confusion by David's parents. They don't appear to have any idea what's going on. They close the door. So let's see what happens next.
Ma'am,
Yeah, closing the door is crazy though. Like, yeah.
gotta figure out what's going on so we can leave, okay?
Very advised. We made contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
Wait, what?
Here, she shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
She shut the door and now she's phoning the police on the police. Is that what did I hear that right?
Contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
I think that's what.
That's clear. We haven't received a call.
I believe she's going to be in the process.
Go ahead, give him a call if you want to verify it. Okay.
All right, she's calling you now. There's more that went on.
Can you repeat, sir? Broken traffic.
Huh? That's not normal activity. If you were at the wrong address, they'd be concerned about somebody else. Like really? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be trying to help.
Can you send 10-42, sir?
Sorry to bother you, but somebody called and said there was something. I mean, there was a person that they called on themselves. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, there's somebody dead.
Someone's dead. Yeah.
That's why we to take caution. You know what I mean? Wasn't trying to scare y'all. Just this house is way off the roadway.
So you just opened the gate and came in?
Yes, ma'am. I'll put it back. I have a gate just like it.
I think it's hard to get my country.
Yeah, when it's something like this, when they say somebody's dead, their life matters more than, you know what I mean?
I hear.
I didn't damage your gate. I just opened it.
And that is when there is a realization. Did someone just prank them? Are they the victims now of swatting?
It ain't on their phone.
And that's not it. This is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number. Someone's messing with us. Someone's messing with us. Whoever it would pinged here though, because wherever they call from, it pings and sends it to dispatch.
What the what?
So like whenever you call 911, wherever you are, it sends like a ping that's how they know the address.
And this address came up to this number?
Yes, ma'am, that's where he was meeting. County to engine 42.
So it says somebody on my property?
It could be. We'll check the property for you. Yes, please. So we'll ride around. If you can give me a layout, how's the property? Like, does it go further back? Like,
No, it doesn't go any further back. It's just right here, and then it goes
on
right
the
here.
fence with the gate and the fence around. Just around the fence. Well, him and I will ride around and check, and then we'll leave. You know?
Yeah, okay. So that was a false alarm. You see, I don't like this kind of thing. So if I really do have an emergency, then
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
If you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
Okay.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate
Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
Someone is messing with us. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And you
And they think it might have been on the property. Wow.
can see David's mom wondering whether someone is still on the property. By the way, if you're a fan of Sidebar, if you're a fan of what we do here at Law and Crime, you might be wondering, how are we able to get so many clips out there to all of our followers? Well, I'll tell you what. This is a little secret. If you're in this game, if you're in the content creation game, if you're interested in putting stuff out on social media, we use a platform called Opus Clip. It's an all-in-one AI editor that makes it easier and faster to cut, create, and upload videos across all social media platforms. Through the power of AI, Opus Clip /clips up for getting your button on crime trial opinion, creating your own videos today. Now, it's not clear if David was in the home when this was going on. According to TMZ, the police report indicated that officers spent another 20 minutes on the property, possibly to see if anyone was there. It appears this could have been an instance of swatting. We don't see any kind of confirmed continuing investigation into this or whether or not there's been any arrests. Is this connected to anything regarding Celeste? And I will tell you one thing I wonder. There is a theory that David was framed. Right? A body was found in his car in a public place. Does this connect to that? Is he being targeted in some way? I might be speculating, but I want to discuss it. So let me bring in Colin L. Schmidt, retired FBI agent, president, CEO of Kronos Investigations. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Okay, the timing and the circumstances of this. Weird. No, out of all times for this to happen, as the body's discovered in his car, after she's been identified, for there to be a potential swatting incident where somebody calls 911 with a fake allegation, a fake crime for their property, out of all people, out of all times, it's weird.
Well, it's weird, but it doesn't necessarily surprise me because this case has taken on national significance in terms of people paying attention to it. And there are bad actors that understand how to bring harm to somebody by way of swatting. So somebody called the 911 system down there. They found the address online and were basically made up a story for the cops to go there. And then they went in, and fortunately, the police were very professional, and they were able to immediately understand that it was a swatting incident and it wasn't a legitimate call.
What did you make of the body cam?
Body cam, I think the parents were scared to death. Law enforcement coming to their front door with guns drawn, they had a reasonable reaction that I would even have, even though I've been in law enforcement for 28 years. So that's really what the insidious nature of swatting is. You really put people at danger because those parents, if they had come to the door with a gun or resisted in some way, law enforcement would have had a duty to defend themselves, and it would have been a disaster.
Yeah, wow, that would have been terrible. I really hope they find the person or whoever did that, but wow, imagine that. That would have been bad. Ooh. Yeah, wow, thank God nothing happened.
It's a really, really good point. I will call out just the professionalism of the officers during the course of this as they're trying to make sense of what happened. Is it accurate, if I understood correctly, that the only way someone would have been able to make a call and for it to be pinged back to that property, that person who made the call has to be on the property?
No,
I doubt it.
not necessarily. So what the FBI actually just recently had been started investigating is these VoIP systems where they can basically impersonate an address by way of GPS, and then the 911 system, takes note of that and thinks it's coming from a particular address. But also, we don't have the recording of the 911 call. The call may have come from some other source or some other area, and they just said, that this address is a problem, and this address has these things going on there, which prompted the police to respond.
Do you think they'll be able to find out who did this?
Recently, the FBI has gotten very good, especially if they're using internet services by way of VoIP to make these swatting calls. If it was just a local person who called in, most of those 911 systems do have a trap system where they trap the numbers where they call in, so they can immediately identify the number and the caller ID, so to speak. And they have agreements with the telephone systems like Verizon, AT&T, so they can get that information as soon as possible.
Here's my thought on how this possibly is connected, and I'm curious your opinion on it. So I think it is bizarre that Celeste's body was in a car registered to David out on a public street in LA. And the reports indicate that that car was there for weeks, that it got a ticket, that it was towed, that it was impounded. Her body was decomposed. So if we assume her body was in that car for quite some time, we don't know exactly when it was deposited, but assuming it was in that car for as long as that car was parked there, it does make me think, and we've seen theories online about this, is it more likely that someone deliberately, they were purposeful to put that body in there to make sure it was found, to make sure it was connected to David, as opposed to the idea that the body was out there and it was found before the perpetrator had time to dispose of it. Now, if I accept that, if there was this idea to frame David, if he is being targeted, is it possible this alleged swatting call was done with the same intent, the same person? Is there a connection in that way, or am I really reaching here?
It's possible, but not probable. It just appears that somebody was harassing his family by way of this call. Going back to the car, you're spot on. Their car comes back so directly to him, law enforcement has to take a step back and always ask that compelling question, or the alternative question is, was he framed? What's going on here? Is somebody really that stupid to take a car registered to them and then kill somebody and put them in there and then leave the car there for multiple weeks? So that's where it leads credence to the framing theory. But the bottom line is the law enforcement is going to gather all the facts. And now, because of the swatting, depending on where the call came from, the FBI will likely start to get involved. And eventually law enforcement is definitely going to get the answers to all these questions.
Well, look, this is the stuff I've seen on the internet as well. I don't know how true a lot of this stuff is, but didn't she have, don't they have a similar tattoos, right? I've seen they have similar tattoos. There's been, I guess, alleged videos of them together, right? So I guess if I had to give my opinion now based on everything I've seen, I'd probably, in my opinion, think he probably did have something to do with it, maybe. Just in my opinion, but that's only from what I've seen on the internet. But it seems like there's definitely a connection between the two, right? I mean, don't you have like another girlfriend with the same name? It's a bit weird, this case, to be honest. Obviously, you gotta wait to know more. But that would be my opinion only now. This video might even change my mind, but I don't know.
Well, let me ask you.
Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Do you think law enforcement is looking into this in connection with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez? In other words, look, we're at the point here on Sidebar where we're trying to analyze any update in this case because we really don't have a ton of information. Other outlets are doing the same, whether it's connected to Celeste or not. Do you think this is a piece of the investigation? Do you think LAPD is looking into this potential swatting incident?
Absolutely. So basically what they're reaching out to that law enforcement agency who's already reached out to the 911 system and their tech people to find out where the call came from. And if it was a VoIP system, they may bring in the FBI to help trace the ping, so to speak, to get to the person who actually did this. And then, of course, once they identify that person, they're going to see if that person has any relationship to the victim and or the person of interest in this case. So, yes, definitely LAPD is reaching out down there, and they're trying to piece get all these puzzle pieces and put the picture together.
I'm going to get into a minute. We have a new update regarding Celeste's apparent ex-boyfriend and what he had to say. I'll get to that in a second. I just want to jump on something that I mentioned. I'm not crazy in thinking that there is a possibility that this was deliberate for the body to be found. I mean, the other way of looking at it is, I think when the initial reporting happened, that we thought that car might have been out there only for a few days before it was towed. If it had been out there for weeks, okay, either someone panicked and didn't have enough time to dispose of the body, which again seems strange, or was it supposed to be found? I mean, where do you stand on it?
Well, it all comes down to context and timing. If somebody put a car on my street and if it's there for 2 or 3 or 4 days and it doesn't fit the environment, I'm going to call the police. The police are going to do an investigation. They're going to run the plates and they're going to do everything they did do. Typical LA fashion, the car was there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so the people there just kept walking by it and ignoring it. And it wasn't dealt with. And I think whoever left it there, it looks to me, normally the car would last a week or two if it's in a residential street before it's going to dealt with. So it appears to me that the person who left it there didn't think it would stay there for 3, 4, 5 weeks. They thought maybe it'd be a short period of time before it was recovered. Or the alternative theory is they just panicked, left it there, and they walked off. It also, like we talked about before, goes back to that Tesla, basically a rolling supercomputer. Once they fire it up, they're going to get all kinds of data off that computer to find out what happened when the car was turned off the last time.
Colin, I mean, it's interesting. LAPD Captain Scott Williams said to People magazine, "We don't know for sure if anyone has any criminal culpability for her death beyond the concealment of her dead body." So how do you interpret that? That Celeste Rivas Hernandez died from natural causes, that it was an accident, that I'm not saying this in any way, which way, but in another case that someone had an overdose, someone found her, panicked, tried to dispose of the body. Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, somebody that young likely did not die of natural causes unless they had cancer or some other known problem. So the most likely outcome here, or hypothesis, is it was a drug overdose. Once again, I'm not aware of the toxicology report being distributed, or even if they are able to do one, because the body was in such a far state of decomposition. But if they were making a statement like that, it's kind of leading me to believe that they feel that she was dead before she was placed in that car.
Yeah, I think they might be waiting on toxicology results. We know the cause of death, the manner of death have not been released. It's been deferred. They're waiting for further examination. Are you confident they will get to the bottom of what caused her death and whether or not it's a homicide or something of that nature?
Absolutely. With this type of media attention, there's lots of resources that are being poured into this, because LAPD, they're known for being the best homicide investigators in the world. So there's somewhat of a personal motivation for these detectives.
You know, yeah, that's kind of a sad thing though as well. Kind of, you know, it's good that this is getting a lot of attention. It should. I guess that's a sad thing you could look at, that like maybe if it wasn't as high profiled, maybe probably most likely that they probably wouldn't care as much, unfortunately. Now, there's just a lot of information taken. Like, look, I don't look. Again, I don't like to fall into the trap of just being on here like, oh, I've seen this on the internet, so I think this is, because a lot of stuff on the internet, you know, you need more evidence to come out. But what I would say is the stuff I've seen, the connections people have been making, and then obviously the songs. Obviously, a lot of stuff can be hindsight, right? Listening to the music now, because at one point before this, everyone loved his songs. Now everyone listens to it and it's like, oh, he's a monster. Which obviously some of the lyrics, when you compare, if you look at the comparisons people have been making, you know, the online theories people have had, it does make sense. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, why would someone leave a car there for that long? Again, panic could it just be panic? Someone did that and just went, I'm just going to leave it there. But again, does that maybe give a little bit more evidence to the fact that maybe it wasn't him? Because if it's registered under your name, again, would you be dumb enough to leave it there? Right? But again, I'd love to know people's thoughts in the comments, because again, I could be missing something. But yeah, why would he leave it there and, yeah, under his name? But just have to wait. But yeah, let me know what you think down below, though.
To make sure they close this case. So I'm absolutely confident that they'll get to the bottom of this and we'll be able to know exactly what happened to this poor girl.
Now, I got to get your take on this. So 15-year-old Damian Hernandez spoke exclusively to TMZ and claimed that he dated Celeste in middle school when she was in the 7th grade, he was in the 8th grade. He claimed she was, quote, looking for something serious, that she was having problems at home, particularly with her mother, who he claimed didn't treat Celeste right.
Something serious at 13, though. Was she 13, right? 15? I don't know. That seems, I don't know. That's crazy to me. But
right? That this made Celeste unhappy, that she wanted to run away. You and I both know, and we reported it extensively here on Sidebar, that Celeste had a reported history of running away. There was surveillance footage that was released from March of 2024 of her walking and then jogging down a street in an apparent runaway incident, that this was captured on a liquor store camera. How does this statement from this apparent ex-boyfriend, how does this help investigators when we're trying to determine what happened to Celeste?
Well, he's part of the big, or the timeline, the big picture. You know, they have to talk to him to get context on the victim, to understand if she was leading a high risk lifestyle, whether it be drug use, prostitution, or involved in criminal activity. So he's helpful in the sense that he's going to be able to give them a better picture of her history. It's unfortunate that he's now talking to media outlets about this, because that just puts more pressure on the family of her in terms of you know, airing their so-called dirty laundry, when should be a private matter.
Well,
yeah, and I've got a point to make with that, which I do see in a lot of these cases, is, and I know a lot of people feel the same way, is a lot of the times they try and characterize the victims, right? They'll try and make this like thing where it's like, oh, they were involved in this, so maybe it's because of this. Or you guys ever see that? Like they'll have like women, they'll have like cases like that where they'll be like, well, she was a prostitute, so it's like, guys, so can you see what, like, they'll try, if you get what I'm saying, they'll try they'll stick an identity onto them, or even if it's probably, and some cases it is true, they could be prostitutes, could be whatever, but it's like they'll use it in a way to kind of be like, well, this is why it happened. I don't know if they'll do it in this case, but you know, if you guys have watched like true crime cases before, I've seen them do that a lot. So
couple this with what we talked about on a previous sidebar. There was footage that TMZ obtained that was released that currently shows Celeste in her neighborhood in Lake Elsinore, which is about 76 miles away from LA, where she's having this confrontation with people in the neighborhood. This is from September of 2024. So this is months after she disappeared in April of 2024. So seemingly we know she's alive at that point. And I thought that was interesting as we're trying to talk about what the apparent timeline is.
Well, in light of that, and I'm very familiar with Lake Elsinore, that's about 20 minutes from where I live. And so the next step of the puzzle would be LAPD reached out to Riverside Sheriff's Department, the Lake Elsinore station, to find out for calls of service, any issues that occurred around her neighborhood, and any issues in terms of calls of service to where she was purported last seen or last living.
Now, at this point, we don't know where David is. Okay, he's not made a public appearance. He's not issued a public statement. We know his tour was canceled. We know that he moved his stuff out of this rental property that was apparently near where the Tesla was abandoned. However, this is new. Fox 11 Los Angeles has reported that people online claim that the singer has been active on his own subreddit and deleting posts that criticize him in connection with this case. Apparently, the subreddit was later locked down. By the way, someone allegedly claiming to be the moderator of his Discord and Twitch accounts allegedly posted a message saying they don't know Celeste, nor how old she was, nor that she was missing. What do you make of all that?
Oh yeah, and also I seen a message as well, them being like, oh, we didn't know. Some of them being like, we didn't know that she was so young. So maybe some of them did know. And like, I've seen that whole thing with that Discord. If you guys have not seen it, I think there's definitely videos on that. I won't talk too much throughout this video. I'll let it play, but yeah.
Well, it also adds more pieces of the puzzle. He can delete it, but law enforcement's going to get it. So they'll send out subpoenas or search warrants to all those entities where he has a online presence, and they're going to get all those posts because
oh yeah, and Discord will have to provide those because this is such a, you got to provide those, like, hand them over. So yeah, cool little New Jeans thing there. If anyone's a K-pop fan, yeah.
That's going to lead to also understanding the timeline, to frankly see if he either has culpability in this or he had knowledge of what happened to her before the body was, or the person was placed in that car.
And we don't know for sure. This is just commentary online about what people assume. Do you find it strange we haven't heard from David, that we don't definitively know where he is? His representatives have come out and said that he was cooperating with law enforcement, but this LAPD commander, who I mentioned before, couldn't even confirm whether or not he was actually cooperating. What do you take away from that?
Well, frankly, that's the smartest thing for him to do, is keep his mouth shut, especially if he's involved in this. His crisis management people or consultants are probably telling him right now is not the time to make a statement, because anything he say will be used against him. So I think right now, if he is involved, I think the next time we hear from him is because he's been either arrested or there's been some sort of public spectacle of him being involved with law enforcement.
And to be clear, he has not been implicated in any crime. He's not been implicated in any wrongdoing. He's not been listed as a person of interest. He's not been listed as a suspect. LAPD has been very close-lipped, I should say, not saying too much. I mean, there was the statement from...
Which is a lot of people... What do you guys think about that? Again, I'm asking you guys, why... Because in most cases like this, where it's found in someone's car, well, yeah, the car's registered to them, there'd be a suspect, right? I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys.
Scott Williams, again, this LAPD captain, to People magazine, another part of it is, he says, we know for sure that Celeste Rivas Hernandez died and someone placed her body in the front trunk area of David Burke's Tesla, so confirming that the car belonged to David. We know that the Tesla had been parked at the location from which it was towed for several weeks, so it is very likely Celeste Rivas Hernandez had been dead for several weeks prior to her body being discovered. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not determined a cause or manner of her death, and as I mentioned before, her cause of death was listed as deferred on the death certificate. This is as LAPD is continuing its investigation. One thing about that death certificate, Colin, that was interesting as well, was the fact that it confirmed she wasn't pregnant and she hadn't been pregnant in the last year. Why is that significant?
Well, I think that you kind of read into that a little bit. That's a standard process that they would go through, because ultimately, if there was a fetus in there, depending on the circumstances and the number of weeks, that can also be considered a murder if she was killed and the fetus obviously would die along with her. So in that case, that's where that comes into play. But in terms of her not being pregnant, I think we might be reading into it in terms of what that has to do with anybody that's suspected in this case.
Are you surprised there have been no arrests at this point, and do you anticipate arrests within the near future?
No, I'm not surprised, because the LAPD is going to be very, very careful about their steps they take in this, because they don't want to make a mistake because of all the media scrutiny that's on this. So this might be a couple more months before they end up giving the public a resolution to this case.
Colin L. Schmidt, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time.
A resolution.
See, this is why, you know, when I see pictures like that, that's why my opinion is the way it is, that, you know, yeah.
To this case.
Colin L. Schmidt, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
And that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And
yeah, that was a good video. Well, my computer's very low on charge right now, so let me make this quick. But what do people think of the comments? What do you guys think? She did not turn 15. You have to be alive in order to age. Yeah, I forgot to mention actually. Yeah, I seen that she passed like a day before. Sadly, a day before her 15th birthday, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of people talking about that she wasn't 15. When people call him her ex-boyfriend, she was 14. So yeah, I mean, as we can say, nothing's really confirmed right now, can we? We don't know, do we? So evidence of them knowing each other, and there's a bunch of evidence that they were together. Yeah, but I guess they have to say that, don't they? Because there's, I don't know, do they have to say that? I guess they have to, right? But I've seen so many clips of someone that looks like her. I would say so many clips of someone that, you know, looks like her. I mean, my personal opinion probably is, but you know, I've seen clips of someone that looks like her, right? So many people failed this young girl, and I think that comment is probably, yeah, this comment here, so many people failed this young girl. I think this comment is one of the most important ones, because like, given her age and stuff that was happening, I mean, I don't know. We don't know the situation what she was going through. I don't know yet, but like, such a young age, you know, I don't want to be like, where were the parents, like, to just heap stuff onto the parents, but you know, like, I feel that's a fair question to ask in this situation, right? But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've got any other points or stuff that you think I didn't mention or whatever, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Peace, I'm out.